Hey guys, it's Mrs. Daniel, and I am creating a video for you, my seventh graders, as a reminder on proportional relationships. So, since we've had an extra week of spring break, I hope you took some extra time off and rested and relaxed. We are not moving forward with probability right now. If you recall, if you were at school the very last day, we worked on something called dependent probability, and some of us got to do a Skittle activity. But just to kind of let our teachers get settled, including myself, into this new distance learning thing, we decided just to go back and work on some proportional relationships. And I'm not quite sure what we're doing next week. I am working with Miss McDonald and Miss Ojeda to get us a real solid plan, and I should be able to tell you soon. So anyways, your assignment that you're going to be working on has to do with setting up and solving proportions. So I picked out a different problem for us to do together like we have in our notes, and we're going to work through this problem together. So sit back, take notes, or just listen. I'm going to give you a second if you have not read the problem. If you would go ahead and read the problem to yourself, I'll give you just a second to do that. Kind of making sure my pens are okay while you guys are reading. Okay, I think I got them straight. Okay, so the problem is about babysitting, and we know that Amy's going to charge $25 no matter how long. She's going to charge $25 for every 3 hours. I got to pay attention, right? Read the problem, Mr. Daniel. Okay, so Amy earned $25 after babysitting for 3 hours. What we do know is she's going to charge the same amount. That's what it means right here when it says the same rate. So if she babysits for me or she babysits for you, it doesn't matter. She's going to charge all of us the same amount. Okay, so what I'm wondering is how much money that she's going to make after 7 hours of babysitting. So just like we did in class, I need you to go back and I need you to find that comparison statement, okay? It's in the same sentence. So the only place where I can see two items are being compared or talked about in the same sentence is the very first sentence. And I have $25 after babysitting for 3 hours, okay? So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna kind of erase this highlight here because the other highlight's the main important one. So that's my rate. That's how I'm gonna set up my proportion, okay? So what I need to do is start with my word proportion, okay? So I'm gonna start with money over hours, okay? And that comparison came from that sentence, that single sentence where it had the two items being compared, all right? And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take and I'm gonna say, oh, I made $25 for 3 hours. And now there's no question who's in the numerator, who's in the denominator, because that, friends, is where we make our mistakes, is putting the numbers in the wrong places. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, so from here, my proportion, remember, the definition of a proportion is equivalent fraction. So I'm going to set up by putting in my equal sign here, and I'm ready for another fraction. And this fraction is going to need a numerator and a denominator, but I have to be super careful. Okay, money is going to be in my top numerator, and my hours is going to be in my denominator. So I need to go read and see what they gave me. So I'm going to pull that highlighter back up, and I'm reading, and it says 7 hours. Okay, so it gives me hours. So I know if I was in class, you would all be screaming at me and you'd be saying, put the 7 in the denominator, put it in the hours. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that for you. There's my 7. And so I have this missing piece up here in the numerator, and I think as you've learned in class, we would put an X. It's our missing piece. So here is where we begin the solving process, okay? Very simple solving process. It is a cross multiply and divide. So I think I'm going to switch over to hot pink, and I'm going to start by showing you the cross multiplication. So it says 7 times 25, okay? And that is equivalent to the product of 3 times x, which just looks like 3x. Okay, so I do have a multiplication problem that I need to do, and because I'm not sure if I have that memorized, I'm just going to come over here to the side, and we're going to work it like we do in class. 7 times 5 is 35. I'm going to carry my 3. 7 times 2 is 14, and then I'm going to add 3, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, so it looks like it's going to be 175. So 175 equals 3x. Okay, so in my class, I made a big deal. It's not only cross multiply, it's cross multiply and divide. So you have to know what number to divide by. What we're trying to do is we're trying to isolate this variable, okay, and this variable is right here. In fact, let me make it like really cool. Let's see. Well, it's not as cool as I was hoping. Yeah, such is life, right? Okay, so that x is what I'm trying to isolate or get all by itself. So what I need to do is I need to divide. I need to divide out so that I have just the x left. And I am going to divide both sides so that I ensure that it stays equal. And I'm going to divide by what we call that coefficient 3 so that this variable is isolated. And the nice thing is I have 3 divided by 3, which is exactly what I wanted, was 1x, and it's isolated. And then I got to come over here and I have this amazing division problem, which I do not know 175 divided by 3, which is not a big deal because I have all this beautiful space over here. So I'm going to take 175 and I'm going to divide it by 3. Okay, let's use a pretty color. So here we go. Can 3 go into 1? No. So I'm going to put a big old 0 there. But 3 can go into 17. It can go into 17 5 times. Whoops, I hate it when it does that. 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, and I'm going to subtract. Kind of a cool marker. 17 minus 15 is 2. Again, I hate that. And I'm going to bring down the 5. Okay, and so now I have a 25, and I have to do 3 and a 25. It's not going to go evenly. So I really need to be thinking about my 3's here. 3, stop doing that. 3, 6, 9, turkey. You guys are laughing at me. Keep laughing because it's not working. I'm going to switch pins and see if I can make it better. Let's see, a 9. Nah, it doesn't like my 9s. There it is. Then a 12. And then turkey, 15. I'll put that 12 in there. Okay. Doesn't like the 12, guys. It's not a problem. 15, I'm not to 25 yet. 18, 21. I'm going to totally run out of room. And then there's a 24. So definitely the 24. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to put this 8 up here. And 8 times 3 is that 24 that we're talking about, that it really doesn't want me to use. Now it's going to make me mad. Okay, there we go. And I can subtract it. 25 minus 24 is 1. So that's going to be a stinker. So I have like a remainder. So I'm going to need to go ahead and add my decimal, which is not a problem. And I'm going to bring that decimal straight up. And that allows me to add a 0 and bring the 0 down so that I have a 10. And 3 can go into 10. And I know that 1, 2, 3 times. So I'm going to put that 3 right on top of that 0. Line it up. You know what drives me crazy when you don't line it up? Line it up. So 3 times 3 is 9. And I'm going to subtract, and I'm going to get a 1. I think I see a pattern here. I think it's just going to keep doing 10, which means that 3 is going to repeat. So I'm going to use hot pink this time, and I'm going to put a bar right over that 3 that says it's going to repeat. So my x, I now have a solution, okay? My solution is going to be, my missing piece is 58 and a repeating 3. So 58 and 3/10 repeating. Sorry, I was thinking as I was writing, right? So the question says, I want to see if my answer is reasonable. The question says, right up here, I'm reading, okay, guys? If she always charges the same rate, how much will she make after working for 7 hours? To answer this question specifically, it looks like she is going to make $58.33. Okay, so just to highlight a couple things before we put this video to rest, read the problem, okay? When you read the problem, you are desperately, desperately looking for a sentence, one sentence that has a comparison in it, like we had right here, okay? We had our money, and we had our hours. And you're going to set up that word proportion. Please do that. Then that tells you what numbers go in your numerator and what numbers go in your denominator, okay? Make sure you set it up on the other side. A proportion is defined as equivalent fractions. So you got to come over here and make your other fraction, right? Then we always cross multiply, and then we divide to get our variable isolated by itself. Yes, you need to divide it out. Please don't just grab a calculator, okay? See if you can divide it out, and then this is our final answer. You know, if you need help, you can call on me, guys. I miss you. Take care. Bye.